Hello, my name is Nicholas Morton. I'm a lecturer at Nottingham, Trent. In this talk, we're going to be thinking about getting good grades in essays. Now, I can't cover every possible factor that could possibly contribute to a good overall essay grade, but I can focus on some of the things that typically make the difference between getting a fair grade and a great grade. So let's think about what those things are. The first thing is, you've got to show a real understanding of the topic, that you really get this. Weaker responses tend to rely heavily on quotes, which rather flags up to a marker that you don't really know what you're talking about, but that you're relying on quotes that sound reasonably plausible from someone else. No, show a deep knowledge of events. Get stuck into the cut and thrust of whatever issue or topic or event it is that you are discussing, and demonstrate that mastery. Likewise, engage with the primary sources, particularly those which you haven't been set for your seminar reading, because that shows independent research, though of course you can use the ones you've been set as well. But engage with the sources. Show how they prove the points you want to make, but engage with them critically. Show an understanding of the author of that source or its creator, their perspective, their agenda, what they're trying to achieve, and then how that material can then be used to prove your ultimate point. Likewise, show a deep and broad understanding of the historiography, what other scholars have said on that particular topic. Engage with them, show who you agree with and why. You can still show independence of thought even if you agree with a scholar, because you can explain why you agree with them. Likewise, if you disagree with a scholar, explain their views, show that you understand them, but then explain why it is that you think their views should be changed in some way, or maybe you may feel they're entirely wrong. Other key breakpoints between a good and a great grade are making sure that everything in your argument, all your main factors are very well evidenced, and that everything you're saying is relevant both to the question and to the overall argument that you want to make, and that overall argument is clear and progresses from word one to the last word, and your reader can see how your argument progresses, leading to its logical conclusion throughout the course of the essay. Another point, it's got to be well written. What you're looking for from your marker is when they mark your work, that they go, "Ah, yes, I can see what they're saying. I'm following sentence by sentence what the students say all the way down through to the end of the essay." What you don't want is for the marker to start, okay, that's fairly clear, but hang on, no. Well, maybe they said that before, and the meaning becomes lost. It's got to flow well. It's got to be clear from the word go all the way through to the end, how your argument is progressing and how it's answering the question. Likewise, another good thing to make sure you've got right, this is just a technical matter really, but it is really important. Make sure your work is correctly formatted. Make sure it's correctly referenced. Make sure there's no instances of plagiarism, that you haven't failed to reference a quote or a key idea or statistic that you've taken from another source. Just make sure that that's all got right, and then it won't cause you any problems. These are typically many of the breakpoints. Another one to make for the higher end marks is you need to show a degree of originality. Now, that doesn't mean you need to turn into Indiana Jones and go and discover some entirely new piece of evidence. What it means is you show independence of thought, that you've read the available sources, you've read the available secondary sources, and that you have come to your own unique view on this. And the chances are that when you have read everything, or you've read a great deal, primary and secondary, you won't simply think the same thing as everyone else. You will have areas where actually your view is different, and you can say why. That's where originality comes in. It links back to this whole business of becoming really knowledgeable on your subject. I hope this is useful, and do look at my other video clips. Thank you.